Hello time travelers! In this video, I'm going to be checking out Stable Diffusion 3, trying it, etc. Checking out some stuff that I saw in other videos about legal stuff, and I'm going to give you my opinion. Spoilers! This is my look of disapproval. I've got the news page from Stability.ai's website. I'm going to go over a couple things that I noticed here. And by the way, anybody who wants to read along in my notes that I made before making this video, I have them available in the Tier 2 folder for my Patreon subscribers. So in this section where it says what makes SD3 medium stand out, I'm gonna go over some of this stuff because some of this stuff is looking really cool. Even if it's not ready, like again, spoilers, some of the stuff that they're demonstrating here is amazing, and I think it shows what Stable Diffusion is gonna have in the future. Overall quality and photorealism. Exceptional detail, color, lighting, etc. This means they're fixing their clip skips or whatever you want to think of them as that develop the image. Because when an image is generated, it goes through all these different steps. And to me, that sounds like they've improved those. Enabling photorealistic outputs as well as high quality outputs and flexible styles. And it says 16 channel VE. I got this link right here. SDXL latent representation of an image has 4 channels, not 16. So they've quadrupled that. That's interesting. If you scroll up here, it says for a 1024 by 1024 pixel image generated in SDXL, blah, 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 blah. It's 128 by 128, where every pixel in the latent space represents 64 8 by 8 pixels. Then the 8-bit pixel space has 3 channels. All right. Red, green, and blue, with each has 256 possible values ranging between 0 and 255. Oh yeah, because RGB is 0 through FF. Let me show you something here in the calculator. Switch the calculator over to programmer, and then I want hexadecimal, and type FF, and change that back to decimal. That's 255. So that means 0 through 255 is, obviously 256 values. If I look, let's say, what is the hex value of periwinkle? And that's a color. It's CCCCFF. That's RGB. So it's got, let's check this out. Put it on hex. Copy paste the CC in there and hit decimal. So looking at this, we've got 204 for red, 204 green, and 255 of blue. And that's how you get that shade. If I say what is hex value of just red, it's going to be FF0000. Get it? They explain it the same way here with cyan/red. Cyan is this set of numbers. Red's this set of numbers, like I just said. And then lime and medium purple are here. So this is just explaining the channels that are in SDXL for generating. I don't know how they're using 16 channels. Maybe it's just to have more accurate color space. I'm not sure. Back to this, we've got prompt understanding. Comprehends long and complex prompts involving spatial reasoning, compositional elements, actions, and styles. And it uses more text encoders. And what I'm noticing here from just looking at this, that this is the most impressive one. Because the prompt says, photo of 3 antique dragon glass magic potions in blah, 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 blah. The first one is blue with the label 1.5, the second one is red with the label SDXL, and the third one is green with the label SD3. I just happen to have this open. This is a generation of Amanda Stenberg. It's a LoRa that I've been training, and this is outputs that I've made. And I told it that I wanted it neon purple background, and it made her hair purple. And because she's African American, the lighting looks really cool, and that's cool. It came out, but maybe there's too much purple, maybe it's not. Maybe you want to be able to control that prompt, is my point. And they're finally able to do it here. I've had problems with this all the freaking time. Even back when I first went to SDXL and I was trying to generate an image of Billie Eilish, where I wanted things in the background to be in pastel colors, but her clothing was also in pastel colors. And this text is really, really freaking good in this one over here, which is what they're calling typography. Typography, I'm familiar with that because I actually took art in high school and college. That this one guy who trolled me on Facebook doesn't think that I've ever lifted a paintbrush in my life. Well, I reported him to the admins of that Facebook group to stop harassing me. AI is a tool, come on. Anyways, I digress. Resource efficient, ideal for running on standard consumer GPUs, thanks to the low VRAM footprint. Oops, I forgot my overhead light. Is that better? I did a video explaining why 12 gigabytes is a good amount of VRAM to have in a GPU, and I pointed out that the RTX 3060 is a great bang for the buck, and you can check out that video right here after you're done watching this one. And right here it says fine-tuning, capable of absorbing nuanced details from small data sets, making it perfect for customization. So what they're saying here is probably that you need less training data when you're training a lore or an embedding or something. I noticed this section on their page here. It says our collaboration with AMD, and you'll see where I got the look of disapproval here in a second. It says AMD has optimized inference for SD3 medium for various AMD devices, including AMD's latest APUs. So what's that mean? That means their CPUs are coming out with chiplets in them that handle AI workloads, consumer GPUs, and enterprise stuff. But if you look right above it, our collaboration with nVidia, and this one looks like kind of like either nVidia is shoving a bunch of money their way or is strong-arming them in some way and putting them under duress. We collaborated with nVidia to enhance the performance of Stable Diffusion models, including Stable Diffusion 3 Medium, by leveraging nVidia RTX GPUs and Tensor. The Tensor RT optimized versions will provide best-in-class performance, yielding a 50% increase in performance. That means over the previous version of Stable Diffusion, which is SDXL, but it still sounds like they've partnered with NVIDIA to make sure NVIDIA's capability of running Stable Diffusion outperforms AMD. Again, I talked about that in my previous video about the RTX 3060, 12 gig, about what NVIDIA does and all that. So again, AMD has these new CPUs coming out called APUs, Accelerated Processing Unit. I'll have this Wikipedia article linked in the descriptor. This explains it in more detail, but I don't know if Automatic 1111 or ComfyUI will load up on a system without a GPU installed, but you can try it. Somebody might figure it out, but I'll help you out a little bit, considering like what model CPUs will work. Be the first to get a new AI PC, blah, blah, blah. But if you go all the way down to the bottom on this AMD page and expand footnotes, and we want to find at the very end, Ryzen AI is defined as the combination of dedicated AI engine, AMD Radeon graphics engine, Ryzen processor cores that enable AI capabilities. Blah, 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 blah. Ryzen AI is compatible with, and it says Ryzen 7040 and 8040 series processors, except these certain 4 ones don't work. Okay, well, I'm so glad you hid that underneath a footnote on the page that nobody reads, and you just advertise in your press releases that the new AMD APU support AI. Sarcasm. But you can take a quick glance at these CPUs if you're looking to get a laptop. I saw these in laptops. So pause the video there and screenshot it or whatever you want to do. Or if you're in my Patreon tier 2 or tier 3, you'll have access to this document. Now let's get into the meat of the potatoes of the video, which is downloading Stable Diffusion 3. There's this Hugging Face link. Someone asked me in a comment just today even if they think this would run smoothly on the RTX 3060 12 gig. This is the machine with my RTX 3060 12 gig in it right now, and I'm doing a test with SDXL training, and it's using all that up, so I don't have time for that. But I've got another machine with a GPU in it that has the same amount of VRAM. It's got the RTX 3080 Ti. So we want to go to Hugging Face and log in. Paste in my username. All right, why you have to be logged in is because of the license. I'm going to copy paste this URL over there. You need to agree to share your contact information to access this model. Have to accept the terms and conditions. We're going over this stuff later. So I'm going to fill this out. Organization or affiliation required. Robert Gene YouTube channel, I guess. I do not want to get emails. I acknowledge, agree, and access repository. I'll go over to files and versions. By the way, there's a whole other page with a version that's optimized for tensors, and that's for nVidia GPUs. But the files look different. What? I'm not going to mess with them because their VE encoders are separated, and I don't know how to use those. If you guys do and you want to play around with them, I'll have this linked in the description of both. So there's 3 different versions here. SD3 Medium, I'm not going to test this one because this one doesn't have the text encoders built in. It's for people who want to customize and use other text encoders or do really complex stuff in like ComfyUI or whatever. This one that says SD3 Medium, including clips, it has 2 text encoders. This one is the most resource sufficient. And then when I was doing my research, this one didn't exist with the 16 at the end. This one with the 8 did. And this one uses more resources and is a higher quality output. Now I'm going to download these 3 here and be testing them later. Hey, this is future me. I updated ComfyUI, Automatic 1111, and Forge, and tested Stable Diffusion 3, and all of them, turns out only ComfyUI has been updated to support SD3. So I ended up cutting a lot of the video out to save you time. And due to how it got recorded, this part got cut, so I'm doing it again. When you go to download the models, you want these little down arrow things over on the right, and then when you download them, go to wherever your ComfyUI folder is. In my case, mine says SDXL at the end. That's where I tested mine because I keep it separate from my regular stuff. And then in there, open up ComfyUI and then go down to models and then checkpoints. And they go here. If you want to keep them separated and make it so that the little drop down in ComfyUI shows that these are SD3 versus something else, you can make another folder and just name it SD3 and then put the models in there. Now I'll scroll back up on the Hugging Face page and go over to model card because I want to grab their workflows for ComfyUI. And by the way, so scroll down to where it says ComfyUI. This is the Hugging Face page again. Open that in the new tab. Alright, it's a GitHub repo, but you just want to scroll down on here and then hit ComfyUI examples. Scroll down until you see SD3. And these images, there's 2 of them. They have workflows embedded in their metadata. This one's the basic. I recommend y'all organize your stuff in a similar way where you can remember where you have stuff. But I'm going into my ComfyUI workflows folder and I'm going to hit Control-Shift-N to make a new folder and put SD3 Medium. Open that up. I'm going to call this one S03 Simple dash Basic. I know it says simple, but my notes say basic. I want to know which one's which. Scroll down. This one appears to be for the model that does not have text encoders as indicated here. So I'm actually not going to get that one. Alright, I just found it. I'm sorry I make mistakes in my videos. I'm transparent and show it to you. I go to Files and Versions up here and then the Comfy Example Workflows. These are the ones that they made. So I can download those. And I'm just going to copy paste this folder over. There's the basic. There's the multi-prompt one. And here's the upscaler one. So I've got those downloaded. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to update ComfyUI. It has to be updated so that it will be able to support SD3. Windows button R, CMD, CD/D, the AI stuff, CD ComfyUI, and then do git pull. So if you're in the folder of a repository you've cloned and you type this command, it checks to see if there's a newer version available on GitHub and then downloads it. So that one's done. That was fast. ComfyUI is not really my thing, but it might work for, like, you know, how your brain is wired. I did a video on how to install it and how to get started with it, and you can check out that video right up over here. So my ComfyUI loaded up with a bad workflow. I'm just going to hit close on that. And you want to go over to the manager plugin that I talk about in the ComfyUI video. And in the middle, hit update all. And it just does that. Whatever that's going on there. And you see in the console that it's updating stuff. So for me, ComfyUI went back to say that it was running on this URL. I copy pasted it into the address bar. I'm going to make sure it's able to actually load a workflow. So I'm going to go into my workflow folder and just grab this, drop it over here. So the workflow that I loaded is already pre-populated with the checkpoint it's expecting to find. And if I click it, it says undefined. So I'll have to double check on that. Now these downloads are going to take me a while. So I'm actually going to go to bed and finish recording this tomorrow. So, yeah.
Synthetic, digital,
Okay, now let's do some testing with SD3 and ComfyUI. Like I said earlier, I also tested in Automatic 1111 and Forge, and they just bugged out and gave me errors, so I cut that from this video. But FYI to catch you up on what's going on here, because stuff got cut. I had to do some prompt engineering based off of some Amandla Stenberg generations I did from a LoRa that I trained recently, which is now available for paid subscribers on my Patreon. Then I took the references to that LoRa and other LoRas I used out of the prompt because SD3 doesn't support SD 1.5 trained LoRas and other models. All right, that loaded up. Let's get one of these workflows in here. Let's change this to details. Move that over. Basic workflow. Oh, this is why I don't like ComfyUI. Whole bunch of stuff going on. It's the same amount of stuff as Stable Diffusion, but it's a hot mess. Okay, make sure I got the checkpoint loaded there. There's the clips. I don't even know what all that is. Here's the prompt. So I'm gonna try my prompt by copying it over. Just like that. What else we got over here? Height and width, batch size, note, seed, I think. Yeah, seed. And a fixed seed, so it doesn't change the seed number. Here's the sampler and all that stuff going on. The Q prompt. Prompt outputs failed validation. Value not in list. Clip name, clip 2, and clip 3. What? I have to download more crap? Like, what does this even mean? Triple clip loader. So, this workflow is the one for the one without clips. Okay, let's try multi-prompt? No, that's got the clip things in there too. What about this one? Medium example workflow upscaling. And there's an undefined node there. This is frustrating. What about this one? I'm just going to try to Q prompt. Choose a thing and hit Q prompt. I'm just testing their prompt in there. And since this is just green and taking a while, that means it's loading the checkpoint I just clicked. It took a few minutes, but watching the console, it finally says loading one new model. And it's proceeding to do the generation over here. And it's moving over to Vey. Alright, so it came out with the same exact thing. Now, like earlier, let's try my prompt that I set up. It may not know about Amandla Stenberg, but it should be able to draw a woman. See how much faster it goes when the model over here, I mean the checkpoint, is already loaded? It looks kind of like her. Her hands are joined together. That's weird. Space Explorer suit. Let's change that to dress. Or evening gown. That's even better. I'm also going to run GPU stats, which I did a video about this, about how you can use it to monitor your VRAM use. Again, this is the RTX 3080 Ti. It has 12 gigs of VRAM total. Control Enter and watch it. So the VRAM doesn't seem to go up when you start generating versus just leaving it running. And that's probably just the behavior of ComfyUI. But it does look like I should be able to run at least that checkpoint using an 8GB GPU. So to answer the question of anybody that was asking about the RTX 3060 12 gig, this means that you could generate images with plenty of headroom to have other programs open. But you probably can't have other programs open if you're running this on an 8GB GPU. Tell me in the comments if you've tested this on an 8GB GPU, because I'm curious. That is a weird looking face. The pattern on the dress is weird. I've seen that in earlier versions of Stable Diffusion. That grass is all funky and wrong. What if I got rid of all of this and just put like blurry out of focus? And just leave that. And then change this to laying on the beach, because I heard weird stuff would happen from that type of prompt. It doesn't really look like Amanda Stenberg, but at least it knows she's African American. Let's try a larger batch size. This is a normal test to see if you can get different generations out and then do randomize for the seed. That is weird. So it's 1 out of 6. Oh, okay. That's terrible. Also terrible. Also, Stable Diffusion 1.5 is not as bad as this. Oh my gosh. Let's try a different checkpoint. Let's try the one with 8 at the end. See if it's any better. And this is what I get. What is it complaining about? So I'm not sure what that's going on with that. Maybe this checkpoint doesn't work with this workflow? Let's try the 16 one. Q prompt. It's not immediately dying, and it's staying green over here, which means it's loading the checkpoint this time. It took longer to load. I'm sorry, I'm not timing it. I was staring at my phone for a few minutes. Now it's digesting the prompt and not moving past that. That's interesting. Using almost 10 gigs right now. So this would run on an RTX 3060 12 gig. Oh, there we go. Now it's going to the sampler. Let's see if it does better than the other ones. This right here is taking a while. And in the console, I get the same progress bar, but with an actual percentage number. So it did all 6 at once. These are better, but they're still bad. Let's take a look at them. What the frick? They are definitely better, but they're still bad. Let's change the batch size back to 1. Put all this prompt back in there. Hit Control Enter. Alright, it's doing a positive prompt. It says loading in low VRAM mode. So either the workflow or ComfyUI itself is using less VRAM because I only have 12 only. But right here again, it's using 10 gigabytes of VRAM. So it's good to know that RTX 3060 12 gig, which at the time when I filmed my video about it, it was only about like 260 bucks. And that's how much I pay for mine. Now that's going faster because it's only doing 1. It looks like a better picture for the face, but the clothing again is got the weird spotty pattern going on that Stable Diffusion 1.5 and SDXL do sometimes. But from my experience, SDXL is not as bad. And this section I like to call
Shut up and take my money!
Check out this generation I did of Amanda Stenberg, and I'll just click it so you can see how high resolution it is. This is actually 8K square. So obviously this is the self-promo part of my video, and I like to make it short and sweet. I currently have 3 levels, and you get different stuff like my trained LoRa's all the way up to actually getting a hold of the data sets that I use. I'm thinking of having a 4th level for people who just want to buy my high-res images. Tell me if you think that's a good idea or not. I also started working on my better female body shapes video, and people have been asking about it. How I'm able to get different proportions of the body to actually look like the person that I trained, where people couldn't figure out how to do that before. This video is going to take a few recording sessions to get everything put together straight in a logical, sensical way. So if you want to see all that, you got to subscribe, obviously. So let's talk about the licensing for Stability.ai, because it's not free anymore if you want to actually generate stuff for commercial use. You get this non-commercial license, which is completely free, but you have to keep everything to yourself and not make money on it in any way. And then the creator license is $20 per month, but it doesn't make sense because it says for creators and developers with less than $1 million in revenue annually. And this custom pricing one's like, what is going on there? Here's the license page itself. I want to explain what derivative works means because it's mentioned a lot in the license. Any modifications to a core model and any other model created which is based on or derived from a core model or a core model's outputs. So that means if you're going to train a LoRa or an embedding. I'll explain why in a minute this is important because they're just defining what the term means. All right, the licenses. The license to the software products. You have a non-transferable license, which means you can't give it to anyone else. And this includes the reproduced software products and derivative works. What does that mean? Look at this. I just mentioned this earlier a second ago in my self-promo section. I let you get a hold of my LoRa's if you pay me $1 a month right now. And training data is up here, and my generated images are in here. If you have the higher level, then you get all the ones below, and it's pretty cheap, but we're not talking about the self-promo right now. We're talking about this ridiculous license. You have to pay to make derivative works, but it's non-transferable. What does that mean? That means I cannot actually sell my derivative works. I can't sell my LoRa's that I train anymore if I use Stable Diffusion 3. And that's even if you pay the $20 a month for this crap. I will not be using Stable Diffusion 3 to train models. No. This is my prolonged look of disapproval. All right, you find this section that says providing your services to customers and users. It says you will be liable for any acts or emissions by your customers or any users in connection with their use of software products. So if we go back to here and you see that it's $20 a month, and that's if you make less than $1 million or less than $1 million or whatever these are, less than 1 million monthly active users. So that means you buy a license, and then it can include a bunch of people that are using it, but you are responsible for how they use it. What? All right, this section that says your ownership. Outputs may not be unique across users, and the software products may generate the same or similar outputs. Just like I demonstrated earlier when I dropped someone else's workflow into ComfyUI and then just hit generate with their prompt still in there. It generated the same image because it had the same clips, same checkpoint, same sampler and prompt and everything. See, it says other users of the software products may also offer similar prompts and receive similar outputs. Your rights in the outputs may not be enforceable against other users of the software products. No title is granted. You and your licensors retain all right, title, and interest, including copyright, trade secret, patent, trademark, and other property rights to your marks. So putting marks on the images, I guess, like I put watermarks on my images that I put on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So I'm kind of confused. It's like I have copyright rights to the images I generate, but not to the models I train? That's stupid. This is my confused look of disapproval. No technical assistance or support. So I'm paying $20 a month, but I don't get support? What? This is my, what is wrong with you look of disapproval? All right, confidential information and non-disclosure. As used herein, confidential information means non-public information provided under this orally or visually is identified as such as prior to disclosure, or which under the circumstances surrounding the disclosure, the pricing information, and the terms and conditions of this agreement, and any orders will be deemed stability confidential information. All right, so I read this whole section and it basically says the following. You can't explain how Stable Diffusion 3 works. So all these YouTubers won't be able to explain how it works. Half of them are already not knowing how it works now. And they make videos. They're like, I don't know how this works, but you do this. And I try to explain as best as I can after doing like hours or weeks of research. Number 2, you can't tell people how much you paid for. Because it said pricing for what? It's $20 a month. The terms and conditions of this statement means that the publicly available license is secret. This is my look of get off my computer. Shift delete. If they come out with reasonable license terms for a version that's free and still allow me to train models and stuff, then I'm gonna try it again. Back to the license. Effective termination. Upon termination or expiration of this agreement, blah, 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 blah. Each party will return or destroy, blah, 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 including Stability software products and any derivative works. That means if I train a LoRa and I don't pay the bill for 1 month, I have to delete all my LoRa's. Or what if you work at a company that forgets to pay the license? Because I've been in IT for a long time. At this one job I worked at, the person who was supposed to pay for the license every year was woefully incompetent. And every year we would have about a month where we didn't have a help desk ticketing system. He just wouldn't pay. We had the money, but he just wouldn't pay it. He'd forget. I'm bringing my doc over here so I can say this correctly. The license should allow the license holder an indefinite, exclusive, and non-transferable license over derivative works. Well, unless transferable means I can sell it. What about this section that says license to software products? That's in my notes. During the license term, and subject to the terms of this agreement, blah, 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 blah. Stability hereby grants you a worldwide non-transferable. So it means I can't sell my LoRa's. Non-exclusive, that to me sounds like Stability AI can sell my LoRa's. This is what Adobe is doing with their license. They are selling your art. It says it right there in the license for using their cloud. If your images are in the cloud, which is just a descriptive term to hide that it's their hard drive on their server, they can just make copies of that and sell it if they want to. Revocable, which means they can randomly take my license away from me and just like, surprise! Screw you, guy! And this part used to say derivative works thereof. I've seen this license change 2 or 3 times since I started researching it just 2 days ago. This is my look of, I'm glad I deleted SD3 off my computer before I tried to use it to supplement my income in any way at all. Check this out. Community lashback, temporary Stable Diffusion 3 ban. Civitai AI will, whenever you try to have a LoRa or a checkpoint on here and then you try to say, okay, there's a license for you, if you're gonna make profit, then you can't use this or whatever, Civitai AI will delete your LoRa or checkpoint or whatever if you put down below that there is a license that you have to pay for. So you can read this all you want. It says, we're not lawyers. There's a danger and a concern from the current understanding of the license, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's good. That's good that they're banning this. I've also seen other YouTubers that do Stable Diffusion videos say they were going to do a follow-up video about Stable Diffusion 3, but then they found out about the license, and in their follow-up video, they said they were not going to be testing it anymore. Obviously, due to the licensing terms. Good. There should be a 4th license. The $20 a month one looks like it's for a small business with employees and tons of use, including having its own customers that are included in the license, who will be using trained models like LoRa's and embeddings. It's called creator license, but I feel like a creator is like an individual like me, or maybe somebody with a YouTube channel that has less than a dozen employees. Or maybe consider somebody that sells stuff like digital products on Etsy or print on demand stuff. Those are creators. And both types of those types of individuals, including myself, may choose to run their software product on their own hardware on their computer. So why are they paying $20 a month like it's Midjourney or something? There should definitely be a cheaper version for people like that who run the software on their own hardware and don't have a huge company. The creator license says under $1 million annually, but it should be a lower license with something like under 50,000 or 100,000 annually or something. I don't know. It's like, let me make my survivable income, bro. And now it's end screen time, so what should I put on the end screen? I didn't plan this, and it's awkward. That's why I call it awkward end screen. I guess if you don't know how to train a LoRa yet for Stable Diffusion, why don't you start with my most recent video for that? That's pretty good. And if you don't know how to train a LoRa for SDXL, I did a video like that, and a lot of people liked it. That's that one. And I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye.